All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and I hope everybody's doing well. So, for this video, I want to do something a little bit different. I always like to kind of study from life. So one of my passions is, believe it or not, gardening. I know how cliche, but I grew up in a home where my mom used to grow orchids in the tropics. So for the past couple years, I was in North Carolina when I started doing this hobby during COVID, just like a lot of people. And North Carolina has a large array of like carnivorous plants. A lot of people don't know that. Like Venus flytraps are actually native to North Carolina. And so that's why you see a lot of these carnivorous plants. I used to have quite a collection until they died when I moved to Texas due to the 100+ degree weather. But anyway, but in the meantime, I've been kind of collecting a giant collection of photos of plants. I'd just be out walking, or I'll be just kind of be at the garden store, and I just really like taking pictures of plants and flowers for my own references. So I've been doing this for a hot minute. Some of these plants, I'm looking at them and I'm reminiscing because some of them did die on me. But it's okay. It happens. Um, but right now, I'm just kind of want to get back into painting my flowers. I did it for about a year or two. I just went through a very rough time, and it's something that's kind of helps me out mentally. So after I got about over 1,000 photos and growing, I'm constantly adding to this collection. I like to add references mostly because I like to see how light works on these plants. As you can see, this is indoor lighting versus outdoor lighting versus shaded lighting. So that's why I take a lot of different references. I like to see the vibrancy of the colors depending on where they are, where they're located, so on and so forth. So for this next picture, I want to go ahead and I want to work on this photo. I took this out at the San Antonio Botanical Gardens a couple years ago, and I've been wanting to come back and really kind of study this. So I normally grab something like this, and I kind of, instead of drawing everything in the background, I just grab pieces of it and I hyper focus on them and create a composition of it. Um, I tend to do a mixed media. I do basic pencil sketch with a overlay of watercolor pencils to be specific, or base watercolor, and then I do finite detail with color pencil. So I'm going to record myself as I am going to be working this from beginning to end. It's going to take me more than one day to do so, but I hope you guys join me as I'm recording myself, and I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope to hear your feedback. Okay, so for this, I'm going to start with a basic watercolor pad, just a basic mechanical pencil. I am using, for those of you guys who are curious, a watercolor paper, 140-pound weight. I will talk about paper weight a little bit later. And I'm just going to use a basic small card because I want to kind of keep the same kind of landscape to landscape. I'm using my tablet as an additional point of reference, and most of what I'm going to focus on is this area here, maybe a couple of these leaves, here, and then this. I find this very interesting, this little area right here. So I want to hyper focus on that. The rest of it I might or might not add into the image, but for right now, this is what I want to focus on. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so at this point, I got the basic sketch down. I'm pretty much right now, I'm looking at my image, and then I'm looking at my drawing, and most of what I'm trying to look for is flow. So right now I'm going from here. I want my bee to lead my audience into this side, and then all the way here, and then probably down here I'm going to end this out with my signature right here in the corner. So I want to have a nice, really smooth rhythm from here to there. So now that this is done, I'm probably going to clean it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to start giving it the base watercolor for tonight, and then I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then I'm going to pick it back up tomorrow where it is. All right? Okay, so for this little part, I got my preparation. Pretty much I went ahead and I pulled out my small watercolor set, nothing fancy. I got this for like a couple bucks somewhere. I don't even remember where I bought this, but it was not very expensive. A little bit of water and a paper towel for me to go ahead and lay out some of the colors. So let's get going. Alright, so right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add yellow to the flowers. However, if you look at the photo, the leaves themselves also have some yellow, but they're actually very, very light. So right now I'm just kind of putting the base color all the way across, and then I'm going to build up add the pigment all the way. Ma'am, stop doing that. Sorry, my cat. I'm going to start. She likes to scratch walls, so please, I apologize. I'm going to start just kind of building the tones as I go through with different colors. But for right now, the yellow is going to be the base color of this. It's going to be the tone that unifies the whole painting. So let's keep going. Okay, so right now I'm simply going ahead and I'm building up the green tones on top of the yellow. It's pretty much what I'm doing right here. I'm looking at the images right here. Obviously, there's my lighter tones, there's my darker tones. But right now, I'm just kind of building up. I'm not too worried about being 100% spot on. Right now, I'm just trying to have fun, enjoy myself, and then just kind of just deal with some observation stuff. But right now, I'm just kind of building up the colors. Okay, so I'm at the point right now where I've added my layers. Obviously, it's like night and day, but you can see I'm starting to build up the stuff right here. So it's going from like the greens to the yellows. I don't want to go too heavy right now or start going to color pencil for the simple fact that even though this looks dry, it still needs to dry a little bit more. But so far it's looking pretty good. Like I said, I'm just having fun. I'm not to worry about this hyper realistic or not. I'm just kind of taking this time to just relax, practice some of my technique, my color theory, just kind of my observational skills, and then just kind of just continue to harness that skill while I can. I'm in my 40s right now. Maybe in a couple years I won't be able to see or lose motion or whatever. So right now I'm just trying to enjoy life by just painting. Pretty much whenever I get a chance. So, but this is pretty much where I'm at for right now. I'm going to have to leave this in for a little bit, maybe pick back up tomorrow to let it fully dry. And then from there, I can go ahead and start adding some additional tones. All right, so what I quickly did, I found my color pencil set, and then I went ahead and I kind of sample some of the colors to get some of the schemes that I want. So I used an additional piece of paper to do that. Sometimes I like to do in the main piece as well, but for this time around, I decided not to go ahead with that. But now oh, excuse me, it's like 11 o'clock at night. My brain just won't shut down. Sometimes it does that. So let's go ahead and see if I can add some of the details to this. Okay, so I'm at the point right now that I'm starting to overlay some colors right here, some color pencils. I said it looks a little rough, but that's okay though, because this is just supposed to be relaxing and fun. But I'm going to take a break here because currently 11:30 at night. I am getting fatigued and it's kind of dark, so it's kind of hard for me to see, so I will pick back up first thing in the morning. Okay, so it's day 2. I've had a really long morning, but the good part is this is really nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and get going, and I'm just going to continue doing my color pencils on this. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm at the point right now where I've kind of added a lot of detail to this using color pencils. It's a little too saturated at the moment, and that's totally fine. But I'm at the point right now where I can go ahead and add some more of the highlights, and for that I'm going to use a different set of color pencils here. So give me a moment, and I will get that done. Yeah. Okay, so for the highlights, I'm going to use the white gel pens. These are great. However, they do dry up, so I tend to use a cardboard surface to be able to test them out. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right here. You see me kind of testing them out to make sure the ink flows down from the top to bottom. So now I'm going to use this to add some highlights to this flower so that way it pops out a little bit. And it's very, very minimal, but it sure adds to the pop. And you kind of have to be careful with this because you kind of have to go back and forth between the cardboard and the sheet so that way it flows out. There are a couple things here involving like the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some of that in here. And again, this is going to be a back and forth. I might have to use actually acrylic paint for this. Yeah, so I might have to use some paint for this because it's not quite there yet. So let me finish adding some of the white highlights and then I'll go back with it with acrylic paint. Okay, so I had to switch from the gel pens because unfortunately the area is too saturated with the waxy color pigment from the color pencil, so I have to switch to acrylic paints. So for this, I simply grabbed the basic Craftsmate. So you can find this in the back to school. This one I kind of get some acrylic paints. And this is nothing fancy. This is what I used on those birds that I repainted a couple weeks ago. So I like to have like a basic set around for me, just kind of goof off. And I'm mostly going to need the yellow, and I'm going to need the white, and then this is my basic color palette. I know it looks gross. I didn't clean it last time. Whoopsie. It's okay. And then I'm going to be using some basic acrylic brushes. I said this before, at least when I was at Five Below. When you buy brushes, make sure you understand what those brushes are for. It makes a big difference when you're working with the medium. So let me go ahead and finish adding some of the details. It's mostly going to be this area here and here. There's a lot of finite detail that I cannot get to. So let's go ahead, and even right here too. This will kind of help just kind of define that. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so that's not looking too bad. I was able to get the brighter pink with the acrylic and able to get some of the yellow white tones on there. Now I want to add a little bit of a backdrop, and this should be almost close to done. Okay, so I went ahead and I used a turquoise color to pretty much go ahead and put this in the background. I didn't want to completely replicate the green because I wanted to stand out with like a greenish blue. So again, just having fun and not to worry about perfection on there. It's just to force me to take a moment and relax and go ahead and take care of a couple of these things. Just gives me something to do to make sure that I keep up with my mixed media stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like this content, please go ahead and let me know. Like and subscribe, and I always, as usual, I appreciate you guys. Cheers.